Welcome home. We are WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. The great seal of. Can you come behind my camera just so people can see what you are?
Right.
This is a bird of I don't know of the great
Talbot.
seal of Talbot County. I've been to Talbot. I've had a crab cake in Talbot County.
Yeah, that's right.
What kind
We
of
love
bird
Talbot
is
County.
this? Jen, what kind of bird is this?
It's a duck.
It's a duck? It's a geese. It's not a Canadian geese. It's a
a
Talbot County geese. It's all brought to you by the Maryland Lottery. The only stuff you get at Mako. We had a unicorn going by a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah, that's right.
We have real elected officials, and then we have mascots of counties.
Awesome.
The great Talbot County. We're having fun down here, and I have old friends, new friends stopping by. If I call you an old friend, it indicates you're old, and you're obviously young. Odette Ramos, she is our council member, councilwoman of the 14th District in beautiful Baltimore City, and it's always good to have you on. You're one of the few Hispanic electeds, correct? Am I saying correct?
I am the only.
I am the only Hispanic journalist I've ever known in the history of the city, ever in sports, ever in any way. Yes, we're
right. I'm the
and
only.
I'm not nearly as Hispanic as you.
I'm the first and only right now in Baltimore City.
But you're an American Hispanic, right? Puerto Ricans, right?
Yeah.
I'm Venezuelan, so
yeah.
My Spanish is you know what a
and
gringo
in
I am
Mako,
anyway.
in the elected officials at county level elected officials, there's only 3 of us. 2 in Montgomery County and me.
So I'll say something because this is a good shout out for my side of town in Colgate. My elementary school, Colgate Elementary, where my son went, my mother went, I went. It's celebrating its 100th anniversary.
Oh, that's cool.
It's been Johnny O. I gave him a hard time. It got raised. We lived in trailers over there with kids for years, but it's this beautiful campus. And I met the principal about 2.5 years ago. We opened it with the masks on and all that crap was going on. And I haven't been back since because you can't just walk into school. You got to kind of make an appointment, right?
Yeah.
100th anniversary coming up week after next. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be phenomenal. But the young lady that runs the school, I met her and I went in and I looked around the classrooms and all these people, the kids all look like us.
Oh,
And I said to her, these kids are Hispanic.
Yeah.
And she's like, 56% first Spanish,
First generation,
and then
yeah.
72% of the whole population in the school is Hispanic. In 1973, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I was the only Hispanic, well, the Flores family from Colombia. So
Right.
there were 2 Hispanic families in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
And that was it. Now the neighborhood is 70% Hispanic.
Well, in Baltimore City, 20% of the school-age kids in public school are Hispanic.
20.
It's going to be 30 in the next 5 years. So
well, Highland Town
have
is doing
to-
that, right? The east side
No,
of town.
it's all over. It
is all over?
It's all
Sure,
over.
okay.
Northwest, Barclay School, which is new in my district, very high population. And so we're not ready as a city for everybody coming, and we need to grow as a city, and we welcome everybody coming. But we're still fighting to get our Spanish 311 app, which we're supposed to happen, sometime this summer. We're still working on hiring more Latinos in, city government so that people who look like the city actually are serving the city.
And the city is looking more like that, is your point, right?
That's my point. Yeah, absolutely. And that in terms of school, that the parents who are coming, need to have those supports to be able to talk with the teacher and everything else. So I think it's great. I'm so happy that we're.
I'm just happy to get better food.
I
know John is too, your husband too.
There is definitely
no
that
one loves
part.
Caribbean food more than your husband, and he's not even a Caribbean dude, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He's an adopted child of Grenada.
Oh,
right?
no question about it. Yeah, yeah.
I've known her husband. John Redlocks was the DJ at Blast Games 30 years ago, Spirit Games. And you guys have been married for a long time, making babies and living a good life. Living a good life in the middle of the city. Tell me about the 14th district. And a lot of folks don't know what that is, but our governor lives in your district, right?
Used to.
Yeah, I mean, it was home.
Before he went to Annapolis.
Right,
yeah.
sure. But, he'll come back at some point. Maybe he'll go in the White House, who knows. But your district's incredibly diverse.
It very much is. We have, the mansions of Guilford, and we've got the vacant properties in Darley Park. I mean, we've got everything, and I love it. I think it's great because it's really, it's never boring. That's for sure. And we've got different issues in different parts of the city, of the district. So I get to work on the issues that I think are important. I get to really spend a lot of time in Coldstream, Homestead, Montebello, near Lake Montebello, and Darley Park, where really the needs are so great. A lot of people aging in place.
Do you spend 80% of your time trying to lift the hardest hit 20%? Because it would feel that way if I were in your role. People in Roland Park and Homeland, keep them safe, and they don't have a lot of needs, and they have financial. Yeah, you got people there. I talked at length with Megan McCorkle earlier from Enoch Pratt about if your kid has to learn on a phone, have Wi-Fi access, that it's ubiquitous to all of us, but it's not in a sector of your
right.
district.
Well, and the other thing is the research, the data really does show that there is a distrust in government in areas that have been disinvested. They're like, well, people don't care about us, so we're not going to be a part of it. And so I do spend a lot of time in those areas that really need us most. And a lot of my policy priorities around housing are based on what's happening in neighborhoods that have been disinvested for so long. Addressing vacant properties, making sure that our older adults have help with home repair so that they can age with dignity.
That was my mother, by the way, in the same,
sure.
My mother was 98 years old. She didn't have me and my son. She'd had you would have been all she had. Right?
Yeah.
Like literally.
No, that's right. That's right. And, illegal dumping, whatever the situation is, it's accentuated 110% in the areas that have been disinvested for so long. So
and that's crime and murders and all the awful stuff, too. Right?
Yeah.
Stuff that Fox 45 comes down in your district.
Well, that's right, because
around.
if you look at a map where where all the vacant properties are, that's where your violent crime is happening. I mean, it's there. So I do spend a lot of time there. So interesting because there's this ballot initiative that Sinclair put in to lower the number of council districts from 14 to 8, which basically doubles the amount of people that we serve, which I'm fine serving more people, but without the right staff, the capacity, and the fact that I spend so much time in areas that need it most, I wouldn't be able to do that.
Why would less be more?
Less is terrible. In this case, it doesn't make sense. Why would people vote against their interest of not being able to have representation? It makes no sense. So that is something that, once everybody gets to the ballot box, just vote against that one. Because it also would guarantee that council will not look like the rest of the city, because it's so much easier for white, particularly men, to be able to fundraise, to be able to win elections, and we will not have a leadership that looks like the city. And I mean, it would be very difficult to add more Latinos if we had fewer districts. So we're trying to keep the 14 in. It's a good number. It's really important. Our city has so many different problems, because some people say, well, you're losing population, the county's gaining population, they're trying to add more people. People do want to live in the city. We don't have enough housing for them right now. And the challenges in Baltimore City are just so much more that we need to have representation that can just concentrate.
Well, that's one of the things about Mako,
area.
right? You come down here, and I had Cornbread on from the Eastern Shore, and I'm going to have Emily Keller on. She's coming on after you from out in Hagerstown.
Yeah.
And problems out there and opioids, and they're all dealing with different
all the
state, but Baltimore, and I said this to somebody passionately last night after like a third beer. I'm like, Baltimore's the freaking engine that powers all of it. Look at the Key Bridge.
State.
Look at the port.
That's
look
right.
at the airport. Look at the sports teams. Look at all of it. Don't abandon or, quite frankly, shit talk Baltimore. It's not cool. And I see these Trump signs as I go down 50. And I don't know if the chickens or the horses are going to vote for Trump. But whatever it is, understanding that being anti-Baltimore is stupid.
And it's interesting
really
because
it's not in anybody's best interest in the state to bag on Baltimore or throw the talent on Baltimore or continue to Fox 45's doing that for everybody.
It's crazy.
So I mean, and I get that questions need to be asked, but when to your point, you said something about trying to lift places. When you're being nefarious and not in a way to lift, trying to screw up the council, to screw it up more, you're not really helping, at all.
It doesn't help
at
all.
It's not a solution-oriented issue.
Not at all. And then there was also this notion of, well, if there's fewer council members, then they'll be, everything will be streamlined, things will happen sooner. it's like, but democracy is messy, and you have to have all of those views, and everybody needs to feel like their council person is representing them in all of the debates and all of the subjects that we tackle.
Look,
we can't
based
do
on
that
the
with
amount of
only
people that
8.
voted in April. There are few people that voted in the city, and I left. That people are challenged by the concept of whether it even matters or whether there is such a thing as democracy. There are people in Baltimore just threw in the towel and not even voting, and that's
right, and that's upsetting. And so we have to have a council that's going to be attentive to their needs. It's going to get worse if we have fewer council members. So I think
people had
that's
confidence they would vote more. I think they would make more of an effort if they felt like it mattered.
Well, we have. If you look, my district is a pretty, decent voter turnout. And we just have to also make it easier for people. I mean, that year that Hogan just sent everybody a ballot because it was COVID.
Maybe you want to vote. Maybe.
Yeah, but the turnout was 60% in Baltimore City, which is the record turnout. We never have gotten that before because we made it easy for them. Oh, there's my ballot. Here it is. Here we go. And
like everything in the world is made easy on this thing, right?
Sure.
Like you order food, order whatever you want.
Yeah, and there were vote centers, so people who wanted to show up, put their mask on, and go vote, you could.
I'm a voter. I go check in.
Well, I was just in.
And when I went to vote,
yeah.
I literally walked into my voting.
Yeah.
And it was like, hello.
I don't think that's going to happen in November.
I was the only one in there voting at the moment.
I don't think that's going to happen in November. Everybody's in Baltimore so excited to vote for Kamala Harris for president that I think we're going to get the turnout that we got in 2008 when people were voting for Obama.
If she does an appearance 3 weeks from now in Baltimore, it would be nutsy like it's been in other places, right?
Yes.
Especially where we are. Baltimore voted, was it 97.2% against Trump? I think it was a number.
Oh, yeah.
4 years. It was 97%
no question.
against
But I
Trump.
think everybody, there were lots of people who weren't going to vote if Biden had stayed in. And I think he's done an amazing job. But it was very clear that the party needed something new and exciting to be able to be really motivated to go out and vote and defeat Trump, and that's what this move did.
The Tim Walz thing's been kind of brilliant, just from a political standpoint.
Oh my God! He's just like America's uncle. And people feel that way about him. I think it's great.
We need that.
So, well, it's interesting.
We need that a whole lot more than we need Trump.
Well, that's for sure.
That's just stating the obvious.
Yeah.
But I would hope when all this is said and done in November, we don't have insurrections and
I think that there's going to be
steals
something,
and that we don't find out that these voting precincts are being rigged with people on their side to not verify elections. You should go to be under a prison if you're not if you're trying to steal elections in this country.
Yes.
Literally.
No, I know, and he should have been in jail by now for that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I do think that he'll try something. And we just have to be ready for it. But I think that voter turnout's going to be high. People are excited. I was just in Puerto Rico for a few days visiting my family, and their voter turnout is like 90% in Puerto Rico. Now they can't vote for president because the way that it works is they don't pay federal income tax, so they don't vote for president. They can vote in the primary, and they have their own party system and everything.
The Puerto Rican thing's crazy. Just from Trump throwing out toilet paper and just like when storms hit there, sort of the abandonment. But look, we abandoned Texas. Nobody has power in Texas either. So, I don't know that it's anything anti-Latin or whatever. I just think that there's certainly Puerto Rico's status is sort of like taxation without representation on the license plates in D.C.
No,
right?
it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same situation that D.C. has. Exactly. And the way that FEMA works is that in a disaster, they're going to replace things back to where it was, not in an innovative way like that should have happened in Puerto Rico, where, again, if they have a big storm again, that whole, power grid is going to go bad again. So why not try to invest in things that are going to make sure that if there is a hurricane again, because there will be, that the infrastructure doesn't completely fall apart every single time that happens. And that is not what FEMA's policy is. So hopefully with a new government in place, with a new leader in place, and people really thinking about disasters now because we're having them more because of climate change, that some of that can be taken care of. And I plan on talking to Senator Van Hollen about that, not just in the reference to Puerto Rico, but just in general with disasters and how we recover from disasters. We should recover better, and not
like
the
New
same.
Orleans learned a lot You know
For
what I mean?
sure.
Yeah.
New Orleans learned a lot. There's innovations now with all kinds of different power sources and not just the same power source. I mean, there's all kinds of things we can be doing. So, it's very interesting to think about all of that. I mean, in my district, I have two major flood areas. They're not on the coast because I don't represent an area by the coast. And that's a different type of flooding.
Well, I drove through Ellicott City last week, and I'm like, holy hell. I made a wrong turn by Moeller's house in Catonsville to sort of go to a restaurant toward Merriweather. And I went through an area in the park that I'd never been through. And I'm like, oh, my God. I mean, this is a disaster.
Well,
every time it rains, it has to be that way, right?
Yeah. So I have the Stony Run, and then I have 35th and Hillin over by Mervo, and we've been doing that. Those are just infrastructure issues.
Well, those areas in Mount Washington flood all the time.
All
right?
the time.
Yeah.
And so we're really, luckily, the
Not
city
to mention
has...
Alisana last week, right? And
Well, the coastal flooding is slightly different than the inland flooding, but yes, I mean, you saw people swimming in that water over in Fells Point.
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. Yeah, don't do that.
You weren't one of the people that jumped in the harbor last
No,
week.
I was not. No.
Why is that a thing? Why was that a thing? Why was that important?
I mean, there are a lot of people working hard to make sure that we have a swimmable harbor. Okay, we've got the four Mr. Trash Wheels, Miss Trash Wheel, Professor
My
Trash
wife and I
Wheel.
lived at the harbor 19 years, so we would walk by and we'd see the crabs coming up on the bricks.
Yeah,
We've seen snakes in there. I mean,
Right.
just all sorts of creatures.
I think we
see turtles in there.
I think we do want a clean harbor. We're seeing animals come back.
But we don't need to jump in it.
I wasn't going to jump in it.
We don't need to jump in it. Odette Ramos is here from the 14th. I love having her on. Love her husband. Love the parties they throw over there with good music at Peabody and always doing good stuff.
Absolutely.
And my wife loves the Trinidad Tobago Steel Orchestra.
Oh, yes.
She loves the bells. Right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we're actually having Trinidad and Tobago Steel Orchestra play at the Rolling Water Tower next weekend, the 25th. So that'll be a nice community event.
25th? That's what night of the week's that? Next Saturday night?
It's a Sunday night.
Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
You must tell my wife.
Yes.
Her sister's in town.
Oh, good. Okay.
They don't have anything to do.
Oh, they should come by. It'll be fun.
There's nothing in the world that she loves. Maybe Bare Naked Lady. She loves that band more. But then there's the bells.
Yeah.
She loves the bells.
Oh, yeah. No, it'll be fun.
And nobody does it better than them.
No, absolutely. They're the best.
They're the
really
Rolling
the best.
Stones of of the genre.
No, and it's a family, and they're great, So I think it's awesome. And so that there's a lot of things happening. So hi.
For you with the city, and not just Brandon and Zeke was supposed to come by today, but we're going to do it next week. I think. What's good about the city? If I'm stopping me saying, hey, give me some good, not numbers and metrics and that crap, just things that you're seeing better than maybe you found it with Mary Pat or whatever things that she was trying to get done. Where is the progress in the city?
Yeah, actually, we're making a ton of progress.
Good.
It's not as fast as I would like,
Never
but
is.
we're absolutely making progress. There are so many amazing places for people to come. On Greenmount Avenue, we've got the Baltimore Book Festival coming to Waverly forever and always. The end of September, it's going to be great. And because we've got so many bookstores, I represent the most bookstores in the entire city in my district. So it makes sense to have the book festival there, which everybody loves the book festival.
Well, I went to the book festival when it was down in Mount Vernon. And this is a great memory, book festival. I met Marsha Brady at the book festival.
Okay.
So you don't forget when you meet Maureen McCormick.
Sure.
So you bring in celebs, authors, signing books, the whole deal.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. A lot of local authors, local booksellers. It's going to be music, food. It's really going to be great, and it's back in a neighborhood. People really like to have the book festival in a neighborhood, not necessarily in the harbor. That didn't work when it was down there.
I saw you yelling about it.
Oh yeah, big deal. And so we're doing. There's a lot of great things happening in my district and around the city. Obviously, thank God the homicide rate is going down. I think we're doing a lot of good, really creative things to make sure that happens. With the group violence reduction strategy and the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, I think that's really a great thing. And then on the housing front, we still need to have more housing for our residents, both on the affordable side, but also for people who want to move in or for renters who want to become homeowners. And so we've been working hard to get the right tools in place and the money in place to be able to rehab our vacant properties. But the fact is, and the research shows, people want to move here, and we want to have that inventory to make that happen. And not just in the White L areas, as Dr. Brown would call it, but all over the city, because that is, we are a city of neighborhoods. Every neighborhood has its own unique feel, both in architecture, but also just in terms of, how the neighborhoods are organized. And it's amazing. We've got amazing parks. It's great. So people should absolutely come to Baltimore. And actually, being at Mako, you get a chance to talk to people across the state.
Well, they all share this. They all talk to me about, I want to come see an Orioles game, right? So there is the thing about when you don't live in Baltimore we deal with it every day, and we deal with all the crap. And But when you do live an hour outside of town or two, Baltimore is a destination place, and it's serving its best face. You come once or twice a year for some of these people. And the baseball team and the promise of the new Inner Harbor and new things to see, people get excited about coming to Baltimore.
Well, also, everybody here comes to Baltimore for world-class health care. World class. We have the best health care in the entire
my wife's life twice.
World here. And so more people, I think, are being a lot more optimistic about the promise of our city, and I think it's great. So I'm very excited about where we're going. Not as much as I would, a lot of progress as quickly as I would like, but it is happening.
Odette Ramos from the 14th. She is our defending champion. Before I let her go, some little baseball.
Okay.
You being Puerto Rican, me being Venezuelan, this team, a lot of promise, then the pitching, the injuries. If nothing else, and I say this to Luke all the time, if I'm writing a book on the season, if it ends with a championship or not, it has been really interesting, wonderful. I'm 55. We've had a lot of really crappy baseball with crappy intentions for a long time.
I know.
This is on a night-by-night basis, whether it's Kevin Brown and Ben McDonald, the presentation of the game, and just how the team's chances to win, the personalities involved, chasing down the Yankees. And I have no idea how it's going to end.
Right.
Because if they had all the pitching that was healthy, I would feel like, oh, my God, they're going to win. Now I'm feeling like, well, they might win. Let's see how it turns out. Because this has been a fun
the bats have
season.
been hot, which is nice. They've been scoring those runs. Those home runs are pretty cool.
The home run riches.
I think that it goes with the optimism that we're feeling about the city too, and the new ownership. A lot of people are really excited about the new ownership and what's happening. So
I'll be excited when I get my press pass.
No, I understand. But I do think that the more hopefully we'll get where we want to go this year. But the fact is that there's a lot of potential. So that's good.
I talk about him every day, all day, on the internet, all night. Luke is at Camden Yards all weekend.
Well, and John is a huge fan. He's always been. John, my husband, has always been an Orioles fan. It doesn't matter if they were bad or good. He's always been a fan, and it's way better when they're good.
It is way, especially when they play 162 of them. And so we say now, you're saying we have a chance? We definitely have a chance. So,
yeah, absolutely.
We're going to be down at Fadley celebrating Oriole baseball on Friday when the cheat throws come. Can we agree that the Astros were cheating? We agree with that?
I have no idea about that, so I'm not going to comment on it.
She's an elected official. She can't do that. John would agree with me. I promise you that. The Gold Rush 7 Stubbers, we'll have these. I think it's our last go-around with these, so come down and get them on Friday. We'll have the Ravens scratch-offs after that. Mark Viviano is going to join me at Coco's on the 4th to kick off.
Yes.
We're doing 26 crab cake, or 26 oysters, 26 days, 26 ways all around the bay. So I'm going everywhere between September 5th and September 30th, ending in Annapolis, perhaps with Westmore. I'm not sure. The invite's out. But we're doing the whole state, and I'm going to try to eat a lot of oysters next month and celebrate the R in the month of September.
Okay. Well, you're going to stick around the water because there's a new restaurant in my district, Urban Oyster, Black-owned restaurant. She does an amazing job.
Let's go. I'm in. What she's going to have to do, and this is the deal about the oysters, because I only ate them one way all my life. I ate them shucked raw at a bull roast with cocktail sauce and a squeeze of lemon. Mm-hmm. That was an oyster to me. I had never really
I don't know how she does it. I don't eat them myself, but
well, you're missing out. That's all right. You're missing out. I'll eat enough for you.
There you go.
But there's all these different things, accoutrement, that you can put on these things, and I'm going to try to do it differently every single day. 26 different ways.
Okay.
So whatever way she comes up with that's interesting, that's not just, here, I'll shuck it, you eat it.
Oh, no, she's very creative. She's great. So
I'll be there. Where's she in your district?
Okay, she's in Hamden on 36th Street.
I knew this. I've already looked this one up.
Yes.
Hamden is your district.
Yeah, it is. Yep, I represent the business quarter. Mm-hmm. Well, most of the neighborhood.
There's a lot of oysters in Hamden.
There's over by Clipper Mill on the other side, there's also some oysters, local oysters there. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go down to Eastern Shore, or come down here to the Eastern Shore, also Southern Maryland, and I'm going to go out and figure it all out. Last night we were walking into Fager's Island, and I saw the first horseshoe crab I've ever seen in my life in the wild, in the marsh underneath of the little footbridge, and it had oysters all over its back.
Oh, interesting.
And I'm like, look at that.
What's going on?
Yeah, Chesapeake Bay. Everything's alive in this bay. It's alive in the harbor.
That's good.
Odette Ramos is the elected in the 14th. Encourage you to get involved in good things in the city. Come on out.
Absolutely.
Support things. Our friends at Liberty Pure Solutions keeping our water clear, like the oysters keep the water clear in the Chesapeake Bay, and making those crabs taste so good as well. Our friends at Jiffy Lube Multi-Care sending Luke out to practice, as well as Royal Farms. Powering up our coffee. My wife this morning, we woke up here, 48th Street in Ocean City, and she's like, where's the nearest Royal Farms? I'm like, I think it's like way up in like Delaware. No, it's in the 80s. So she just went up, got me some fresh coffee, real fresh, real fast. Even got some fried chicken this morning. To honor Justin Tucker, hoping he's hitting that big kick against Kansas City in a couple weeks. We have Mako. Emily Keller's going to stop by. Senator Ben Cardin, Senator Chris Van Hollen, whole bunch of electeds, whole bunch of fun people. We're talking cyber. We talked Ocean City and windmills and just politics, but also business. Good stuff. We're at Mako in Ocean City. I'm Nestor. We are WNST, AM 1570 Towson, Baltimore. We never stop talking. Baltimore positive and Maryland strong.